Hello, brothers and sisters. I thought I would do a live video when I'm making my Maccabees chapter 2 follow up. If you didn't see the first chapter and you want to catch it, check my page. It should be a little bit back, or you can go on my YouTube, which it's actually on the church YouTube. That should be linked if you even go to YouTube/Nipok, and I should have it linked over there in the corner. That's Nipahc, my first name backwards. And I wanted to go here and read back where we were speaking in Maccabees, where the Jews got taken over and the Greeks tried to install Gentile cults and tell them that they should go the Gentile ways. And we get here to the section of Matthias and his sons. And in those days, Matthias, the son of John of Simeon, a priest of the family of Joreb, moved from Jerusalem and settled in Modin. He had 5 sons: John, surnamed Gadi, Simon, called Tashi, Judas, called Maccabeus, Elzar, called Avron, and Jonathan, called Appius. He saw blasphemies being committed in Judea and Jerusalem, and said, "At last, why was I born to see this, as the ruin of my people, the ruin of the holy city, and to live there when it was given over to the enemy, the sanctuary given over to aliens? The temple has become like a person without honor. Her glorious vessels have been carried over into exile. Her infants have been killed in the streets, and her youth by the sword of the foe. What nation has not inherited her palaces, and not seized her spoils? All of the adornment has been taken away. No longer free, she has become a slave. And see, our holy place, our beauty and glory have been laid to waste. The Gentiles have profaned them. Why should we live any longer?" Then Matthias and his sons tore their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourned greatly. The king's officers who were enforcing the apostasy came to the town of Modin to make them offer and sacrifice. Many from Israel came to them, and Matthias and his son were assembled. Then the king's officers spoke to Matthias as follows: "You are leader and honored and great in the town, and supported by sons and brothers. Now be first to come and do what the king commands, as all Gentiles and the people of Judea who are there left in Jerusalem has done. And then you and your sons will be numbered among the friends of the king, and your sons will be honored with silver and gold and many gifts." So once again, they're asking them to come do as the Gentiles, and they just displayed their ideas and how they didn't think that was right there. But Matthias answered and said in a loud voice, "Even if all the nations that live under the rule of the king obey him and have chosen to obey his commandments, every one of them abandoning religion of their ancestors, and my sons and my brothers will continue to live in the covenant of our ancestors. Far be it from us to the desert the law of ordinances. We will not obey the king's words in turning aside from our religion to the right or to the left." When he had finished speaking these words, a Jew came forward into the sight to offer sacrifice to the altar and Modin. According to the king's command, when Matthias saw it, he burned with zeal, and his heart stirred. He gave vent to righteous anger. He ran and killed him on the altar. At the same time, he killed the king's officer who was forcing them to sacrifice, and he tore down the altar. This he burned with zeal for the law, just as Phinehas did against Zumi, son of Saul. Then Matthias cried out in the town with a loud voice, saying, "Let everyone who is zealous for the law and supports the covenant come out with me." Then he and his sons fled to the hills and left all what they had in the town. At that time, Many who were seeing the righteousness and justice went down to the wilderness to live there. Their sons, their wives, their livestock, because troubles pressed heavily on them. And it was reported that the king's officers and the troops in Jerusalem and the city of the king, who had rejected the king's commandments, gone down to the hiding places in the wilderness and pursued them and overtook them. They encamped opposite of them and prepared for battle against them on the Sabbath day. Then they said to them, "Enough of this. Come out and do what the king commands, and you will live." But they said, "We will not come out. We will not do what the king commands and profane the Sabbath day." Then the enemy quickly attacked them, but did not answer them or hurl a stone at them or block up their hiding places. For they said, "Let us all die in our innocence. Heaven and earth testify for us that you are killing us unjustly." So they attacked them on the Sabbath, and they died, and their wives and children and livestock, to the number of 1,000 people. When Matthias and his friends learned of it, they mourned for them deeply, and said to their neighbors, "If we all do as our kindred have done and refuse to fight with the Gentiles our lives for our ordinances, they will quickly destroy us from the earth." So they made this decision that day, "Let us fight against anyone who comes to attack us on the Sabbath day. Let us all not die as our kindred died in their hiding places." Wow, that reminds me of some times too where we've had some groups of Christian people and different religious groups that they get attacked or just because they don't like the way they're doing it. And when they're peaceful like that and getting attacked, we should really stand up for them, because they'll come on after us. They'll say, "Hey, I got one. I can get the others, and I can get all these people and take them out." It makes them continue to escalate the issues and continue to make a problem. And then they were united with a company of Hadashians, mighty warriors of Israel, who offered themselves willingly for the law. And all those who became fugitives to escape their troubles joined them and reinforced them. Their organized army struck down the sinners of their anger and renegades in their wrath. The survivors fled to the Gentiles for safety, and Matthias and his friends went around and tore down the altars. They forcibly circumcised all the uncircumcised boys that they found within the borders of Israel. They hunted down the arrogant, and the work prospered in their hands. They rescued the law out of the hands of the Gentiles and the kings, and they never let the sinner gain the upper hand. Now are the days that drew near for Matthias to die. And he said to his sons, "Arrogance and scorn have now become strong. It is a time of ruin and furious anger. Now, my children, show zeal for the law and give your lives for the covenant of our ancestors. Remember the deeds of the ancestors which they did for their generations, and that you'll receive great honor and an everlasting name. Was not Abraham found faithful when tested, and was it not reckoned on him to be righteous? Joseph, in the time of his distress, kept the commandment and kept the Lord of Egypt." Yeah, Nathan says that it would suck to be forcibly circumcised. I definitely agree with that here. That definitely was pretty intense there if they did that. I definitely see standing for the people and definitely doing what's right there, but that part, pretty intense. Joseph, in the time of his distress, kept the commandment and became Lord of Egypt. Phinehas, our ancestor, because he was deeply zealous, received a covenant of everlasting priesthood. Joshua, because he fulfilled the commandment, became a judge in Israel. Caleb, because he testified in the assembly, received an inheritance to the land. David, because he was merciful, inherited the throne of the kingdom forever. Elijah, because of his zeal for the law, was taken up into heaven. Hananiah, Azariah, and Mishael believed they were saved from the flame. That's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego's names. Daniel, because of his innocence, was delivered from the mouth of the lions. And so observe from generation to generation that none of those who put their trust in him will lack strength. Do not fear of the words of the sinners. Their splendor will turn into dung and worms. Today they'll be exalted, but tomorrow they will not be found, because they will have returned to the dust and their plans will have perished. My children, be courageous and grow strong in the law, for it will gain you honor. Here is your brother Simeon, who I know is in wise counsel. Always listen to him. He shall be your father. Judas Maccabees has been a mighty warrior from his youth, and he shall command the army for you and fight the battle against the people. You shall rally against you who all observe the law and avenge the wrong done to your people. Pay back the Gentiles in full and obey the commands of the law. And then also when I'm thinking about that and the circumcision, that circumcision was pressed on these guys that were out killing people that just wouldn't do as they do. So I could see that as a bit brutal, but they had something coming to them there. The ones that probably died were probably more excited, but at least they got killed there with that. He blessed them and was gathered back to his ancestors and died in the 146th year and was buried at the tomb of his ancestors in Modin. And all Israel mourned for him with great lamentation. So 11 minutes there. Kind of want to just give everybody a quick update on that here. First Maccabees 2, and I think one of these days we'll continue Maccabees 3. Or First Maccabees 3 and see what other good information it has there for you. Thanks for watching. If you like to see more of this, press like down there and subscribe. Put some comments on Facebook there if you're interested. Even let me know which way is the best for you here. I'll post both these so people can see both these in the church site and on the timeline. Feel free to give any comments and have a great day. Shalom.